This women's shelter and more than 600 across Canada saves lives.
I was fleeing abuse, and at the same time I was homeless in my own reserve. And I came here and I didn't know anybody, just one person.
Ann Wesley now works here.
I know what these ladies are going through because I was one of them.
As violence against women rose in the pandemic, the federal government provided $300 million to fight it. Nearly half went to shelters like these. But now that money is set to dry up.
The funding that we've gotten during COVID has alleviated suffering. And the absence of it will mean that there will be suffering.
Shelters use the money to hire extra staff, renovate facilities, provide programming like childcare, and help with basic needs like food and medicine.
We've been able to buy clothing for women who've had to flee and had nothing but flip-flops and a pair of pajamas on when they got here.
On average, each shelter received just over $100,000 extra a year. Money they say is still needed, even as the pandemic wanes.
The recovery for women in terms of healing, in terms of family law and navigating the systems is far from over.
As of now, Ottawa has no plan to continue the funding.
I will not say at this point that I won't extend funding. I think these are decisions that are being made, but I will say and continue to say to the organizations that we've had their back.
Women's shelters get most of their money from the provincial and territorial governments.
It's enough to maybe keep their lights on and keep the building functioning. These shelters are always underfunded.
Unlike most federal grants, this extra money from Ottawa was seen as vital because shelters could use it for their daily operations.
It was a recognition that the work you're doing is life-saving. You don't have to come up with a new and innovative way of doing it.
This funding is being cut despite recommendations from the inquiry into the mass shooting in Nova Scotia. It calls domestic violence an epidemic that requires pandemic-level funding. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.